I am asking you today, if you've got something like it, to grab a strap. And if you don't have a strap, you might want to go and get a scarf, something that's not too stretchy though, or a belt, or I don't know what else you might have. We won't need anything else, but maybe things for comfort as we lie down for relaxation. So if your cat's not lying on the blanket, you might want to grab that, or a cushion, whatever you usually use. And then we will begin lying down on the backs. So I will ask you to come down onto your mat or the floor, whatever you're practicing on. And then as you lie yourself down, again, only an option, maybe bending your knees and letting them fall open while you're touching the soles of the feet together, which we call Supta Baddha Konasana, or the reclined bound angle pose. For the arms, they can lie down onto the floor, Shavasana style, and in that case, bringing them as far away from the body as you need to soften the shoulders down. Or with soft shoulders, you might choose instead to touch your hands onto your body. Now, some days the mind is really wild and caught with that in a state of ignorance. If that's the case, it can be very challenging to close the eyes, but there's a way of just staring on a spot on the ceiling. If you want to keep your eyes open, find a solid drishti or gaze point on which you focus your attention. And that drishti really is happening inside of you as well if you choose to close the eyes, because sometimes the moment we're closing the eyes, the mind's taking an excuse and go off and dream or worry. In that case, also steadying your gaze point, as you might lightly roll the eyes up towards the third eye point, a point from which we see things more clearly. In whichever position you're resting in, let us concentrate on the physical sensations for a moment. Vidya, or ignorance, is one of the main obstacles to overcome in our daily lives or in our lifetime. It leads us to all other sorts of suffering. So maybe setting the intention today to focus on your core self, your true self, or trying to peel the layers of ignorance away from you as you experience yourself. And be that just during the physical practice, but maybe extending that intention into your day. A great way of overcoming ignorance is always self-study, to get to know yourself, to come to that higher self, creating the change to be happy, to overcome the anxiety that we're living in, to really be present within this moment, where there are sensations in your body, where the mind is likely to keep wandering, not pushing away anything, acknowledging also emotions, and we will work with a slightly different breath today. So as you draw your attention from that to your breathing, we'll start to deepen the in-breath and then take another sip of air into the body. And then breathe out really slowly. So we're breathing in, taking another sip of air, topping that up, and then breathing out for 3, 2, 1. Breathing in, top up, out for 3, 2, 1. Breathing in, topping up the inhalation, and breathing out for 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in fully, topping up, and breathing out for 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in fully, topping up, and breathing out for 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll ask you to repeat that for 3 more breaths. If you can lengthen the exhalation further, do so. Otherwise, stick to that current count. Each in-breath gets a little top up. You think we can't get more air in, we'll top it up a bit more. And then that long exhalation at the end. Now, whenever you have completed these breaths, and your arms are on your body, open the arms out. And if the arms are away from the body, slide them a little bit further up. You can keep the palms of the hands facing upwards as we're guiding our knees back up if you haven't already, and then wiggling the feet out to touch the edges of the mat and letting the knees fall in towards each other. Trying to soften the back down towards the floor. So knees remaining bent and we're touching them in towards each other. Now, as you keep this shape, we will separate the knees a little and ask you to keep the feet quite wide and carefully begin to rock the knees from side to side. So that one knee drops or starts to drop into the center, and as the movement becomes bigger, lowers closer towards the floor, while the other knee is falling outwards. Slightly different sensations there as we're going more into the hip movement here than actually into the back. And then from this movement, we will bring the feet off the ground, the knees a little bit closer, and we keep rocking the knees from side to side. Now this time, getting a bit more movement into the back and maybe further release through the lower back. And I'm asking you then to give both knees a good squeeze in towards the chest. Hold them there and see if you can soften the shoulders while you're having a firm hold on your legs. And with the next exhale down, could you lift your nose up between your knees? And then releasing that back down. If you find it challenging to rock over your back, please roll over to your side to come to sit. Otherwise, you can rock a few times forward and back, with or without holding onto your legs until you come up into a seated shape. Now, if you have trouble sitting in an easy pose, you can have your legs out in front or sit in a different form. If you have trouble sitting flat on the floor, you don't have a block or a book nearby to sit on, you might roll up the end of your mat. And if you have one, I invite you to grab your strap, and I will call everything that you have gathered around your house a strap. So just making sure that when you're using it, you've got it nearby. And we'll take it into both hands for now. Quite a distance, so maybe a tad bit more than shoulder distance apart. And we're taking a breath in to lift the arms up over the head. If you don't have a strap, you might actually interlace the fingers over the head to move from here. You can have that strap as wide as you need to. Your arms can either be extended or, like mine with a shoulder issue, my elbows are bent. Now keep yourself nice and tall and have a firm pull on the strap if you're using it. And then with the elbow starting to tilt as you look down towards the right. Inhale, pull yourself up. Exhale, looking down to the left. Inhale, come to center and then do that like a seesaw movement. And you could start to increase the range of movement if that feels good, or keep it quite small. Making sure the shoulders are okay with the movement that you're doing. And then when you completed moving to each side, please center yourself again. Let the strap go behind and extend the arms down towards the floor. So I've kind of wrapped my hands a little bit into the strap, so my fingers are now pointing forward rather than backwards. And with my next out breath, will I twist towards the right while I'm pulling on the strap. On the inhale, centering. On the exhale, going to the other side. And then just like the seesaw we've been playing with before, go a couple more times to each side. Now there's not only the strap that we're keeping firm, and a movement here comes also from the core. I'd ask you to release then afterwards, and you can drop the strap down behind you, or you can keep that firm grip and start to lean forward with the strap lifted or loosely behind you. Allowing yourself to round forward. Arms can still be lifted if your shoulders are happy with that, and just sinking into this forward fold. Then let's roll back up to sit. Take the strap up over the head and down in front of you. Lift your feet off the ground if that's possible, or step them down onto the floor. And then changing the cross of the legs. We'll lift the arms back up on the inhale. And the same here. Your arms can be straight or the elbows can be bent, but we've got to pull on our strap. And with the next out breath, then bending over to the left. On the inhale, center. On the exhale, bending to the right. And you might notice that maybe we're going a fair bit deeper now than we did before. Keep your gaze turning as well, just as we often do in the lying twists. As we turn the gaze down towards the ground, we're also getting some movement into the neck. And once more to the other side before we're taking a breath in and then a breath out as we bring the hands back behind. Again, just turn the hands so the fingers are facing forward when you've got the arms behind, and let the arms be active by pulling on the strap. With the out breath now, bending or turning to the right or left, sorry, inhale, and then to the other side. Doesn't really matter. I've just mixed up my lefts and rights. See if you can really use your core to turn from and the strap to assist you in the twist. One more round to each side. And then as you come to center, same options. If you're feeling okay, lifting the strap behind you and over the head, do so. Otherwise, let the hands release behind you, lower into a forward bend. Deep, full inhale. Long sigh out. And you might then, wherever that strap is, release it, place it down somewhere by the side of your mat. And if that feels all right, you can roll over the ankles here as we're finding our way up onto all fours. And from all fours, we will engage our core a little, so we're able to safely lower down the pelvis, belly, chest, and then bringing your hands forward. As we're looking into the connection to ourselves, I recommend when we lie down in this crocodile to touch together your tips of thumbs and the tips of the index fingers to build a triangular shape and to rest the forehead into the triangle. Only if that's available to you, doesn't cause any discomfort anywhere else in the body. We're using this shape to soften down again. You can choose from here to touch your big toes together. Let the heels fall out to the sides, or do the exact opposite. Turn the toes to face outward and rest on the inner edges of your feet. I will ask you to stay here for 3 deep breaths. And while you're breathing in deeply, see if you can expand the body, wherever there's space, out to the sides and into your back, and then soften back down. 2 more deep breaths from here. Whenever you've completed those 3 breaths, you will slide your legs back out to about hip distance apart. We will keep the forehead resting down into the triangle. We're taking a breath in to lift the right leg, and then out breath to lower it again. On the in-breath, lifting the left leg, and on the out-breath, lowering it again. Let's do that once more on each side. Now, if it feels good to continue that, you might use the head and chest as well as you're lifting up the right leg. And then lowering everything back down. Try not to lean into your arms. Use your back as you're lifting up. Left leg this time and lower. And we'll do that again. Right leg, head, chest lifting and lower. And left leg. Now, last variation here is to keep the head resting in the triangle and to lift the arms as well with the right leg, head and chest, and lower. And then the left leg and lower. We won't do another repetition. I invite you to lift it all, both legs, head, chest, maybe the arms, and pause. As we release the hands and draw them down by the sides of the ribs. Only to release from here into the mat. As we push up onto all fours, bring your knees in or out and sit towards your heels for an extended child's pose. Make sure your shoulders are dropping, creating space for ears and neck, and that your fingers are already spread out onto the mat. With the next inhale, then rising up onto all fours and have a big breath out of the mouth for a cat. From the cat, neutralize your spine, finding maybe a firmer stance, adjusting the knees. We will extend back into the right leg on the in-breath. See If you can flex the foot and push out towards the heel. And then as you're exhaling, draw your knee and nose together underneath. On the inhale, extend it back. On the exhale, curl it in. Do that one more time, breathing in to extend the leg back. And breathing out to curl in. Now this time, aim with your foot between your hands or help it there. Minding that the foot and the knee have about a hip distance between them. We will allow the head to fall for a moment towards the knee and increasing our back line. And then imagine something is pulling on your back as you're rolling yourself up. And then taking a deep breath just to lift the arms up. And you might find Charlie's Angel's Mudra over your head, which means to interlace your fingers and touch the index fingers together. You might even start to lift through the sternum and maybe your gaze. As we're next exhaling, releasing the mudra and bringing your hands back down onto the mat while you slide the knee back onto all fours. Big out breath for a cat. Neutralize the spine again. We will now extend back out through the left heel as we're lifting the left knee off the ground, inhaling. On the exhale, draw knee and nose together underneath. Again, lead with the heel as you're inhaling to lengthen. On the out breath, curling it back in. Do that again, breathing in. And breathing out as we bring the foot forward or help it towards the front. Looking again at the distance between the knee and the foot before you let your whole upper body just hang over the front knee. Increasing openness in the back line of your body. And then starting to roll up right from that back. And as you breathe in and lift the arms up, we're finding back into Charlie's Angel's Mudra, but we're changing the interlace of the fingers. So we've got the other finger in front. If you like, lifting through the sternum and the gaze. Arms extended. We're noticing all that bobbling that happens there in our foundation. With the next out breath, releasing your hands back down onto the floor. And we're stepping the knee or foot back again. Reaching the toes tucked under, the hips up and back. And with the next inhale, then rolling the spine forward. As we come into kneeling plank, the feet might flatten again. And with the out breath, then keeping the elbows by your sides, lower slowly down onto the ground. We're taking a cobra with lifted legs if you choose to. So we're lifting the head, the chest, the legs, maybe the hands too. Next out breath, release towards the mat. On the inhale, come to all fours. Tuck the toes under and stretch the hips up and back again. So the hips staying away from the heels this time, more of a puppy shape. Let us come back up onto all fours. Keeping your toes tucked under this time, as we're extending the right leg back again, inhaling. So same movement here, but as you bring your knee in, you might lift the other knee just a fraction off the ground. Then lower it again as you inhale, extending the leg. On the exhale, curl it in, maybe a mini lift. On the inhale, extend it again. On the exhale, curl it in. And landing the foot forward. You can keep your knee down on the ground, but again, minding your distance there. Collapse once more, the whole upper body down. Curling yourself up from here as you lift your arms up. And you might find your Charlie's Angels again over the head. Starting to lift through the sternum and your gaze. We will open this up now. I'll ask you to swing the back foot a little bit around to the other side. And then as you're opening the arms up like you would for kneeling warrior 2, you could then lower your forearm down to the thigh or your fingertips to the floor, or the other arm might reach up towards the ceiling. Finding a kneeling side angle shape. From this shape, let's extend both arms again. Lift them back up towards your kneeling warrior 2. And then reversing that as you let the backhand just loosely hang down or rest against your leg. The right arm extends over the head. Finding a big length here if that is possible. And then returning to your warrior 2 variation. As we open the arms, bring the leg back behind you. Start to extend into your front leg. And press out through the ball of the right foot. And then as you're breathing out, start folding forward. Let your hands land wherever you can get them. And start to lower your nose towards the knee. We'll hold here for a moment, a half Hanumanasana. If any of you are feeling way too comfortable with the half version, you could use your hands to rest on and slide the leg forward into full Hanuman. But still, we would love to bend a little bit deeper. Allowing yourself a couple more breaths. Before you will bend the knee again and land on the front foot, planting your hands back down onto the floor, sliding or stepping the right foot back. So we are returning again to an all-four stance, tucking the toes under and reaching the hips up and back for puppy shape. With the next inhale, then roll the spine forward. You might want to flatten the feet out for kneeling plank. And on the out breath, elbows by your sides, lowering again towards the ground. Asking you to return to the cobra where the legs were lifted as well, the head and the chest. And there's that option of lifting the hands as well. Stay here, 2 more breaths. And then releasing back down towards the floor as we're pushing up onto all fours and rounding right into the cat. Let your spine come into neutral. The toes tuck under of your feet and extending out through the left leg and heel. On the exhale, bring your knee nose together and there's the option of lifting the other knee just a couple of centimeters off the ground. As you lower again, extend back out to the heel. Inhale. Exhale, curl in, maybe lift the knee. One more, breathing in. Breathing out to curl in. And then maybe lower the back knee as you bring your foot again towards the front. Finding the gap between the feet or knee and foot. And let the upper body relax. As we curl up right from the back and take an in-breath in to lift the arms. As you return to Charlie's Angels, find that awkward interlace again as you point your index fingers upwards. Beginning to lift again through the heart and gaze if that's yours. Deep, full breath. And then we begin to swing the back foot a little bit around to open the arms out like a warrior 2. And your choice is to point the fingertips down, to rest the forearm down, maybe to extend the arm up towards the ceiling. Finding our kneeling side angle pose or its variation. With the next breath, lifting the arms back up to warrior 2. And with the out breath, let the back hand come to rest downwards or against the thigh as your left arm extends over the head like a humble warrior shape. We will open the arms back out to warrior 2. As the foot aligns again towards the back, opening the arms, and we'll extend our left leg out. Start already to press out through the ball of the left foot. And then when you're exhaling, begin to fold. Your hands can land wherever comfortable as you lower your nose towards the knee. Aiming for length in that leg as you figured out on the other side. And if you feel this is not enough for you, you can rest on your hands or fists and slide the leg out. Otherwise, just a few breaths here. Noticing, accepting any type of tightness or even hypermobility, as your mind might struggle with what you can't feel. We will change things up a lot now. As you step your foot to the ground and bend the knee, also tuck the back toes under. We're lifting the back knee off the floor and then stepping the foot towards the front of the mat. Find a half lift when you're breathing in and lengthen your spine out. And a full forward bend as you're exhaling. Let's stay here with an in-breath and roll up with an out-breath, slightly engaging the lower tummy as you're coming up into standing. Take the shoulders a little bit back and open the palms of the hands towards the front. We'll begin our next flow. Maybe by using the strap. If you feel you can easily extend your leg and hold onto the foot at the same time, you won't need a strap. But you could still use it, of course. As I'm holding mine open and quite long to begin with, and I will just step onto the strap with the ball of the right foot. Now, while we're centering the weight more to the left foot, let's take an in-breath. You can pull on the strap to lift a bent knee. Now, I suggest to wrap the strap in once at least around your hands. And then if it's possible, extending the leg forward. Now we've got full control here when we're holding this pose in this way. So your shoulders can be relaxed and your hips can be in balance. And that's oftentimes a challenge as we're trying to lift the hip up. As you allow yourself for this length, you might be able to lift the leg a little bit more. We will change and just release the left hand and take that end into the right hand as well. You could open your left arm out to the side. And you might also want to open the leg out. Maybe turning your gaze. Don't worry if your posture might not be perfectly balanced. To release it, let's bend the knee. Release the strap as you bring the knee forward, reaching the arms up for Charlie's Angel's Mudra. And as you're slowly tilting, extending the leg back, pointing the toes down and landing in a high lunge with the hands in Charlie's Angels. The back heel might be lifted off the floor as we're opening the sternum, the gaze, if you like. From here, let's lower the back heel towards the ground and let the arms come open for Warrior Two. So your front knee remains in a bend, the arms wide open. And with the next exhalation, can you point your left hand fingertips down, reach the arm up as you come into side angle, or you might be able to place your forearm on top of the thigh. Parshva Konasana, the side angle shape. As we push down into the front foot a little bit more, raise back for your Warrior Two. And then extend that into an Exalted Warrior. As you could loosely allow the back hand to rest against the thigh, or you might even look up into the top hand. Taking your arms back up over the head as you lift your back heel. And then releasing the hands down towards the floor. I will ask you to take your back foot and step that a little bit in and out to the side. This is a pyramid shape now. As I ask you to lower the nose towards the knee, your hands can rest anywhere on your leg or on the floor. Keep your shoulders a little bit elevated. Not a strong pull. And see if you can really engage down into the ball of the front foot. Maybe the toes too. And find balance in the pelvis. Two more breaths. Just to fold down to pyramid shape. Then bring a bend into your front knee, plant your hands down and step your feet into downward dog. Too strong, there's still all fours on offer. On the next inhale now, roll your spine forward as we're coming towards a full or still kneeling plank on offer. And then with the out breaths, we'll lower down onto the mat. Now, if you want to interlace your hands behind your back, that might be a nice idea for a locust, or you could use the strap while we've got it Wrap that once or twice around your hands. So the hands can be wider as we're lifting again, the legs, the head, the chest, and maybe the arms. Holding your back bend here for 2 more breaths. I know the breaths are a bit shorter when we're back bending. So once completed, releasing back onto the ground, letting go of the strap and placing the hands by the sides of the ribs. On the in-breath, come to all fours. Tuck your toes and stretch that into a puppy shape. Keep your hands spread out wide. And for those of you wanting to transition to down dog, here it is. Let us lift the right leg up on a breath in. And on a breath out, curling knee nose together underneath. Now press back out through the heel as you're inhaling, 3-legged dog. And with the exhale, bring the knee back to the nose. Do that just once more, breath in, deep extension, and then bring it in. And this time land the foot forward between your hands as we're lengthening the spine up onto our fingertips. And then step the foot forward into a forward fold. And inhale for a half lift. An out breath for a forward bend. Wait for your next exhale. Take your strap with you on your way as you're curling up into standing. Let the arms turn open so we begin again in mountain pose. We can lengthen the strap out fully again. And stepping onto it with the ball of the left foot this time. Take your time and keep feeling the ground underneath your feet as you shift your weight towards the right foot a little bit more. Now with the inhale, pull on the strap as you bend your left knee to lift. You can wrap the strap once or more around your hands from here, finding the first point of balance. Next option, to extend the leg forward. Make sure that you keep your hips in balance. It doesn't matter if the leg is actually straight or bent, but leave your shoulders relaxed while we've got the chance here using our prop. You could pull that leg a little bit higher if it's within your range of movement. We might then change the end on the right hand, bring that into the left, and we might take a breath to open the right arm. From there, can you carefully take your leg out to the other side? Make sure your shoulders relaxed and maybe turning the gaze towards your extended arm. As we bend the knee, taking the leg to center, releasing the strap, take a deep breath to lift your arms. As you find Charlie's Angel's Mudra over the head, make sure there's a different interlace of your fingers. And then very slowly stepping back, bending a bit into the back knee as we center into a high lunge. Maybe lifting through the sternum and through the gaze. Then lower the back heel. As the hips open your arms up as well. So we're in Warrior 2. Front knee is in a bend. And transitioning from here into side angle. As you could point your fingertips down towards the mat, or rest on the forearm. Maybe the other arm is lifted. Maybe your gaze is lifted. We'll use our front foot a lot more as we're lifting back up into Warrior Two. Nothing changes here in the front knee as we transition into an Exalted Warrior. So if you are resting the backhand down, let that be very gentle, no weight bearing, no overextending as you explore yourself. We'll take the Exalted Warrior back into our high lunge as we're lifting the heel and then releasing the hands down towards the mat. Taking our back foot, stepping that in and out towards the side. The hands can rest on the floor or somewhere against the leg. As both legs remain straight, we're lowering the nose towards the knee. Keep that subtle lift of shoulders into shoulder sockets. Your nose aiming for the knee. And then bring a bit more pressure down into the ball of your front foot. Maybe even take a grip with your toes. And allow yourself to stay here for a few more breaths. To release it, bend a bit into the front knee as you plant your hands down and step your feet back for down dog, or you know your alternative here as well. On a breath in, roll the spine forward into your plank or kneeling plank. And on your elbows, lower down towards the mat. Now I give you 3 options for this round. Option number 1 would be to take your strap again behind you. Option number 2 is an interlace, but again changing the interlace of the fingers. And option number 3 is a full bow pose, a Dhanurasana, as you might bend your knees, catch your ankles or your feet. If you choose that, please keep the knees at hip distance when we're lifting up. On the in-breath, we're all taking a lift. Head, chest, and legs. And in whatever shape you are right now, just holding there. 3, 2, 1, and releasing down onto the mat. Place your hands by the sides of your ribs. And make your way up and then back towards a puppy shape. If this shape here is sufficient for you to hold as we use it as a short inversion, please stay here, leave the head loosely hanging towards the ground. If you would like to use your down dog as your inversion, simply take the knees off the floor. But if you are in a down dog, I would love you to pay attention to a few alignment points. The tailbone reaching up and back as you stand on hands and feet. The knees lightly soft, so the tailbone can reach a little bit more. And now create some space between your shoulder blades. Broaden the area. Open yourself up as much as is possible. Staying here for 1 deep full inhale and the longest sigh you can manage. Then let's lift the left leg up into the air. And on the out breath, bring your knee and nose together underneath. On the inhale, extend it again. On the exhale, bring it in. And one more time, take a breath in. On the exhale, bring the knee in and then land your foot forward. Coming up onto your fingertips. But this time I'd ask you to just slide the leg behind and come down to sit. If that's possible, just briefly we'll touch the soles of the feet together and you can take a hold of your ankles or around your toes. Just lengthening yourself, taking a deep inhale. And then swaying as you're breathing out. And with that swaying movement, maybe we can find a way forward. If you would like to extend that into your feet, take a hold with your thumbs of the balls of the feet and fold the soles up as if they were pages of a book. This is just an option as we lower the head down into the feet. Let everything just fall off your back. Everything that you discover might have burdened you. Let it roll off your back. As we're curling ourselves back up into sitting from here, guide the knees up to center and maybe touch them together. As you keep your feet forward here, let's extend the arms for Charlie's Angels Mudra one more time. Shoulders in their socket, we're leaning a little bit back, and then we're trying to touch down on one side, lifting to center, touching down on the other side, lifting to center. Too easy, take the feet off the floor, touching down, lifting, touching down, lifting. Once more to each side. And as you bring the arms forward, change the interlace once more. Feet on or off the mat. Let's lower down onto the ground, releasing the arms. Allow yourself to have 2 more breaths, lying already in Shavasana and contemplating if this could be it for you. There might be a niggle here and there, and that could require a movement or 2. I would ask you after the 2 breaths to have all the movements that you need to then enter your relaxation pose. You could close the eyes straight away or come back to the staring at a solid point on the ceiling. Take your time to settle into your Shavasana as it's time for physical stillness. Noticing if you were able to explore yourself. If you took on and in everything that was there for you in this practice. Maybe being humble, honest enough to acknowledge avidya in your practice, ignorance. Be that ignorance towards things that you needed to acknowledge in your body, or to feelings or thoughts. It's only when we look at them can we notice and then create the knowledge. Then allow yourself to come into complete stillness for a little while as you observe the breath flowing. The Sikacha writes about avidya. If we feel modest for a while, it does not mean that we have overcome our self-seeking tendencies. We never know when a particular form of avidya will appear even more clearly. It's like sowing seeds. As soon as they receive water, fertilizer, and air, they begin to grow. Every seed grows best under different conditions and at different times. So it can happen that a desire drives us to do something that our pride, our ego had forbidden. A desire to be noticed may become so great that it overcomes our anxiety because we have to prove what great heroes we are. We should never sit back smugly when it seems as though we are free of avidya or ignorance, because the four faces of it do not always appear on the surface. We must remain aware of the fact that their power and intensity can go on changing. Sometimes avidya is scarcely visible in any of its forms, and sometimes it overwhelms us. Because there are so many levels of avidya, we must remain watchful and alert in our actions and maintain our efforts to lessen its influence on us. If somebody enjoys a clear mind and spirit for years on end, that certainly shows great progress. But suddenly avidya can hit him or her again like an earthquake. That is why we emphasize that our practice of yoga on and off the mat, striving for deeper understanding, must go on. Turning your awareness now back onto your mat, the body grounded and held. Start to deepen your breathing and bring in some gentle movements. Allowing yourself to maybe roll over to your side for a moment, or even sit up over the front. Finding your way eventually into a seated shape. Where, if you like, we can touch the hands together in front of the chest for Anjali Mudra. With the light, bow towards our own heart, maybe our own center or higher self. Just the more we can learn about ourselves, understand, to minimize ignorance or avidya, the better of service we are to others. Extending to each other now. Namaste.